Just because of an accident in the process of making a tattoo, the Japanese Yakuza boss immediately expressed his anger. "I'm going to make a big hole in your stupid head. Do you believe me?" The old tattooist replied, "I don't mean to offend." Immediately, a name of the subordinate brought a letter. The Yakuza boss did not clearly understand the content of the letter. He did not expect a strange black cat to come out from the inside. The old tattooist stood next to him when he saw this scene, immediately shocked to the soul of the soul. It turned out that many years ago, this old man also received a letter that was sealed with a similar red bandage. No one had ever received a letter that could last more than 2.5 seconds. The only reason why the old man escaped from this tattoo was because the heart of the old man was usually on the right side. Thanks to that, the old man was fortunate to be preserved alive. While the Yakuza boss was making fun of the old tattooist, a name of the subordinate standing next to him was suddenly cut in half. Fresh hair and curly hair all over the place. The girls were afraid of the speed of the tattoo and screamed nonstop. Not in time for the Yakuza boss to react to the blackout. The base was completely submerged in darkness. Everyone was in a panic, hurriedly picked up a gun and pointed it straight at the darkness around them. Suddenly, a name of the subordinate was cut by a chain that appeared out of nowhere and pulled away. In an instant, his body was torn apart like a piece of paper. This bloody scene made everyone panic, heart and liver break. Everyone was like a shotgun shooting everywhere. Bullets flew out like rain the wind was blowing. Wherever the bullets went, it was destroyed. The pieces of paper flew away. The firepower was strong, but unfortunately ineffective. The enemy seemed to be born with darkness, hiding like a ghost in every corner. They took the darkness as a shield, covering the silence as a dagger. The form of the ghost escaped hidden, disappeared, moving like an image not moving. Every time they went out, there was only a faint light passing by. It was impossible to find their traces, making it impossible for people to catch them, as well as impossible to defend themselves. The names of the subordinates of the gang were thrown around. Just in a short moment, the scene was already noisy, and chaos had become a quiet deadlock. Only the Yakuza boss was left alone, standing alone in a pool of blood, afraid to the point of losing control of the battle. When the target was completely destroyed, the black and dark shadow of the dragon god could not be seen, and the body was always hidden in the darkness of the night. 57 years ago, Lao was lucky enough to escape death, but this time he was no longer so lucky. Perhaps you have been curious about the notorious killer organizations in the world. People's eyes are often drawn to CIA and KGB. They are said to be the embodiment of danger. However, they do not often know that in the hidden corners of history, there is still a mysterious force that is a gang of ninja killers. For thousands of years, they were called Uzunu. Their members were trained in hell right from an early age. The body fat rate was controlled below 3%. The density of the muscle was 3 times that of normal people. Taking the head of a person in the dark was easy for them because their history needed to go back to the period of the full-fledged War of Japan. At that time, the ninjas intervened in the power play through the assassination of secrets and collecting intelligence. From public fights between the big names to the results of important battles, they all had their own glory. However, a few centuries have passed. This organization not only did not disappear over time, but also expanded its criminal force to invade everywhere around the world. To this day, they have secretly built a giant network under the cover of modern society. The so-called Complex Dark Network, with 9 ninja gangs under it. It's like a giant picture frame, covering every corner of the world. The purpose is to effectively carry out missions to assassinate the whole country and other illegal activities. In short, their influence and power is so vast that it goes beyond the imagination of ordinary people. And all these dark activities are under the direct control of the Uzunu Master as the supreme leader of the entire organization. The members absolutely obeyed his orders, considering his will to be the only man. For every action, behind this obedience is a chain of cruel tactics. Every year, the Uzunu Master will have to travel all over the world to look for the young men and women with extraordinary talent, but no place to imagine. He will talk to them. The people were born to serve him and will die for him when the young men are taken to the secret base of the organization. What awaits them are extreme training sessions with extreme non-human intensity, from the challenge of limiting the body to learning assassination techniques, from using weapons to infiltration and escape skills. Each training session is full of danger and pain. Just a small mistake will have to face severe punishment. Therefore, these young men have to endure great humiliation of both physical and mental, but they can't escape because they have no relatives. They can only completely rely on the organization that has given them this chance to make them completely obey. The organization will continuously brainwash them every day, make them in fear, and respect gradually lose themselves. Just like that, the young men from this single poem will eventually become the most loyal and obedient of the Uzunu master, sincerely volunteer to escape danger because he is in the dark world among the young men and women who have just joined. Master Uzunu especially admires a young man with his eyes of faith that have been blind for many years. He immediately realized the difference of the boy. If he was brainwashed one day, he would definitely become the sharp blade of the organization. So the master decided to give him the name Zaijo, a name that symbolizes strength and obedience, before officially starting training. Master Uzunu has inherited all the unique skills that he has spent his entire life researching and leading for these young men without keeping anything. He told them that, to become an absolute perfect killer, they have to overcome the control of the body. This is the necessary path to become a ninja. He said he pulled out a sharp knife without a trace of emotion in his palm. However, a strange phenomenon appeared. The wound was bleeding and bleeding without a drop of blood. Just seeing the master close his eyes began to mistake the mysterious ninja words. At the same time, he raised his hand to create a mark in the air on the palm. When he opened his palm again, the wound had just been completely healed. This is the ninja's island. The ninja's training path is extremely cruel. The daily eating and drinking system is so simple that it can't be simpler. There is always only a bowl of rice on the table, mixed with lukewarm water that makes the children always in a state of hunger. High-intensity training in this state is certainly an extreme challenge to the endurance of the body. But in this difficult situation, their bodies in trouble have not stopped changing and increasing. Since then, they have become more flexible, stronger, so a body is as solid as a steel. In addition, the master also arranged for them to fight one-on-one. Through this competitive, strong-willed competition system, he will select young people who have excellent psychological and combat skills. The winner will have the right to climb the stairs to the top and receive more cruel training sessions. But once they fail, their waiting fate is usually extremely miserable, or be defeated by a massacre, or be expelled. Losing the training opportunity is still a milder punishment. The most cruel thing is that the children are left to die directly. During this process, all methods to destroy emotions are used thoroughly. The children are taught to discard all weakness and hidden feelings, only to retain calm and determination. Emotions are seen as burdens. Goodwill is seen as a weakness. Day after day, year after year, their hearts gradually become hard, like cold steel, like ice. Not a little love for the life of others can be imagined after such a crushing and cruel training. The last ones to step out of this blood-sucking training system will be cold and cruel killers, to the point of becoming a hard-headed ninja to some extent. Let's see this boy. Since he was a child, he has practiced hidden techniques. Just need to have a small footstep. He will be beaten by the master with a whip into the soles of his feet, even if he is beaten to the point that blood splatters all over the floor. The boy still has to cling tightly to the pain of his bones, complete the training session without leaving a single step. But at night, the scar starts to transfer to the most painful pain, like a heart attack, as if there were a number of sharp blades that were beating together under the soles of his feet, making Zaijo have to cling tightly to the rope, but can only cling tightly to the teeth. To witness this situation, the master has snatched the medicine to secretly spread the scar for him. Although the rules of the organization are extremely strict, absolutely do not allow members to expose emotions. But this moment of hidden warmth has made Zaijo realize that he is not just a simple tool to kill, but a person with bones with flesh. Over time, Zaijo gradually grew up in the process of continuous training. The difficulty of training did not stop increasing. The master began to arrange for him and his master, Zaijo, to practice the ability to adapt to the environment in a field of countless torches. However, Zaijo was lacking in sharp tools. In the confrontation, he had the opportunity to injure the opponent, but because of the hidden feeling, he did not make a cruel move. The result was that he failed, because he was suddenly attacked by his master with a torch. Zai Zhou, who was seriously injured in the head, did not immediately stand up to continue the fight, but lay on the floor motionless. This is definitely a second serious mistake, because the master had taught them since childhood that the weakness of man lies in the body. Only when you conquer the pain can you defeat the limits of the body. To become a ninja with enough standards, you must first have the will to cut the stone and the ability to withstand the extraordinary. You can quickly adjust your state and continue to fight in any injury or difficult environment. Zai Zhou's recent attitude disappointed the master. Immediately, Zai Zhou cut his hand and punished him, making him really feel the ultimate pain, the feeling of a thorn in the heart. All the masters and disciples think that he is difficult to overcome this long and bitter night, but they do not know that Zai Zhou is going through a massacre of both soul and body. He did not stop thinking about the soul in pain, repeatedly recalling the words of the master in his head, trying to find a chance to break out of this hell. Until the morning after the master opened the door, he only saw Zai Zhou calmly sitting still in front of the door, like an ascetic. Clearly, he had grasped the secret of the method of controlling the pain. Since then, the master has set up for him a unique secret training. Every following year, Zai Zhou will have to give up an object to further enhance the body's potential and refine the softness of the mind. The first year starts with the Thich Nhat Hanh, the object that you rely on the most. This means that you will lose your dependence on light and darkness. You can only rely on other objects to feel the outside world and have to fight with Master Huin in a blindfolded state. However, when there is no support from the Thich Nhat Hanh, Zai Zhou's reaction is clearly slowing down a lot. You can only rely on memory and intelligence to avoid, just like that in consecutive failures. Zai Zhou gradually doubted the world covered by darkness. Your body also became extremely fragile. It was possible to rely on the direction and intensity of the sound to accurately judge the specific position and intention of Master Huin in the following fights. Zai Zhou gradually found his own fighting rhythm and was no longer as clumsy as before. Every move that Master Huin made, he could easily stop it by listening to the position and speed of the sound. That could not be improved or even counterattack. At this time, the defeat was obvious, and on the face of the master also appeared a rare recognition. On that day, Zai Zhou accidentally caught Master Huinin trying to cut off the rope to block the development of the tree. This action certainly violated the rules set by the master. If discovered, he would definitely be imprisoned in the dark. However, Master Huin did not care. It seems that the rope she cut is not a thing that is blocking the tree, but more like the freedom in her heart. The next day, the fight took place according to the schedule. Master Huin excellently overcame the defeat of Master Huin and Mon Pai, according to the rule that the loser had to bear the pain of death. This is the philosophy of the group so far, in order to make each ninja grow up in pain and draw strength from failure. Then Master Huin put a sharp knife to mark for the little lion to stab the loser. She suddenly stopped taking the knife and saw Huin and Mon Pai lying on the ground, covered in blood. In the end, she still did not hesitate to remove the knife and cut Master Huin's face immediately. She saw Master Huin pick up the knife and cut a line very hard on the little lion's face, immediately creating a wound that made people bleed. However, the punishment did not stop there. Then she was forced to stick into a very tight bamboo cage under the scorching sun. The inside of the cage was completely impenetrable. Not only was there no food, but not even a drop of water was allowed to be drunk. Until the night fell, Raiju had a chance to sneak up next to the bamboo cage in the dark. As in the poem of O bringing water to the little lion's mouth, he advised her to give up fighting the master. However, a few days later on a rainy night, the loud noise woke Raiju up from his sleep. He looked at the little lion's bed opposite, but only saw an empty bed. Not thinking much, he immediately rushed out and found the little lion was about to run away. The little lion didn't want to go back to that bright life anymore. She urgently invited Raiju and himself to escape the sea of suffering to find a world that belonged to the two of them. However, Raiju chose to stay because the Ozunu group had long become everything in his life. Hearing Raiju's answer, a flash of disappointment flashed through the eyes of the little lion. She didn't say anything else, just gently moved closer to leave a kiss full of meaning on Raiju's cheek. After saying goodbye, she climbed over the wall and ran away to the middle of the forest. However, how could she escape so easily? The Ozunu group's surveillance was everywhere. Only in a flash her trace was discovered. Almost immediately, the number of ninjas from all four sides surrounded her. The next day, the little lion was thrown into the cage, a symbol of humiliation. By the order of the master, the great master immediately threw the ninja knife into the heart of the little lion. After an hour of screaming, the little lion was no longer breathing. Raiju glanced at this symbol with a bitter look in his eyes. From then on, his words of revenge were engraved in his heart. Many years later, Raiju was helpless when he saw the little lion being killed. Now he has completely turned into a standard ninja. To test the results of his training, over the years, the master decided to give him an extremely challenging and difficult task. The goal of the task was to bring a golden watch back to him. The symbol changed to a golden watch and a cigar. Not far away, Raiju disguised himself as a silent sanitary worker. In this action, he removed his usual weapons, only hiding a thin knife blade in his shirt. Then he took advantage of the opponent's lack of awareness. He suddenly stabbed the knife blade into the neck of the ninja. Unexpectedly, the opponent responded with a blow to the body. The power of this ninja can be compared to the Kingpin in Marvel. He not only has unlimited power, but even when they have a lot of knives and blood, he still acts as if nothing happened. Raiju was hit by Tenkundo all over his body. He could only hold a small weapon in his hand and stab the opponent. Although the knife was small, each stab was fatal. Finally, Tenkundo lost the ability to resist due to severe fatigue. Raiju seized this golden opportunity and successfully made a perfect counterattack. But at this time, what he felt in his heart was not the glory of victory as the master said, but on the contrary, he was terrified and felt a strong sense of guilt. Remembering when you were drowned in violence, losing your mind, eyes full of doubt. Just like that, he was no longer Raiju with his own thoughts and feelings, but turned into another person, a rusty machine that was enraged, and his survival instinct was dominated. Even himself, he also felt his face was really scary and full of horror. Raiju did not hesitate to surrender, but with his current strength, he could not face the whole Ozunu group. Therefore, he had to continue to resist to test the loyalty of Raiju. The master handed a ninja girl in front of him with a gentle and thoughtful face. He declared that he would honor you and punish you. This scene immediately reminded Raiju of the cruel behavior of Emperor Huin to the little lion many years ago. At that time, the ninja girl was kneeling in front of him, looking at him with hopeless eyes. Raiju understood in his heart that the master was forcing him to once again crush his own feelings. He held the weapon tight but could not let go because he knew that if he killed her, it would mean that he would kill the last ball of the little lion. That would completely destroy the last feeling deep in his heart. Therefore, Raiju chose to resist, and at this moment, he was also controlled by a tool, becoming a human with a bone of flesh, with feelings and conscience. According to the master's order, the surrounding ninjas immediately drew their swords and attacked Raiju. Although Raiju tried his best to open a way to survive, it was difficult for both hands. To resist many hands, Raiju quickly appeared with many wounds from the blood-stained sword. His body could no longer resist and fell to the ground. At that moment, he seemed to have seen the god calling him. However, thinking about the misery of the little lion, he could not calm down. He struggled to stand up and wanted to fight to the death. But the next moment, the rain fell on his body. After a painful battle, Raiju lost his balance. He could not control himself and quickly fell from 100 meters. Perhaps the fate that was not at hand was a lake. After escaping death, Raiju began a long life of exile. He escaped to Berlin, hidden in the corners of this city. During that time, he did not stop self-training. Every day he pressed his hands on the iron plate with nails, did 10,000 push-ups just to train his core strength. After completing it, he quickly ate a bowl of rice noodles, mixed with water to restore a little strength. Then he immediately started practicing the ninja skills thousands of times. In the end, it was the ultimate ninja skill that lasted more than 7,000 days. With a move that he repeated countless times, now his memory of rice noodles has deepened. Although he was blindfolded, he could still make the ninja hit the target without a single mistake. He showed the style of a beginner ninja, but at night there were days when he met ghosts. Although Raiju was careful enough, he could not completely hide his scars. Faced with a request for help from an American woman. The ordinary person was surely fascinated by her seduction and could not escape. However, Raiju did not hesitate. He immediately saw the identity of the opponent, who belonged to which tribe in the tribe. The American woman saw that the plan was exposed and did not hide it anymore, directly pulled the knife out and hit the weak point of Raiju. However, she clearly underestimated the low strength of Raiju. At that time, the store owner heard the sound of the sudden beating and quickly ran out of the room. At the scene, there was no one, only a shaking washing machine. The store owner suspected that he was coming close to look, only seeing the beautiful woman who was just fighting with Raiju. Now he was stuck in the washing machine. Recently, strange murders have happened. The European police quickly realized something unusual. The American woman was curious and began to investigate. The result was that she discovered a strange rule. Every time an important person is murdered, there will be a transaction worth more than $1 million. The American woman realized that this was not simple, so she immediately went to visit the wife of a national security officer who had been assassinated. Through a conversation with this woman, she learned that the employee had been forced to quit just because he was investigating some unspeakable things. Since then, his mental state has deteriorated rapidly, becoming extremely unstable. Even every window in the house are locked with 2 layers of insurance. In addition, he also installed a large number of cameras, sensors, motion sensors, and bright lights around the house. However, it still could not prevent the enemy from wanting to take his life in the dark. During that time, no one dared to ask. Everyone avoided. Only Mika was brave enough to go deep to find out. The wife, extremely convinced of her bravery, handed her an exquisite file and a tape recorder that her ex-husband left behind. After receiving the tape recorder, Mika brought the box home. Inside the box were all documents related to the history and origin of the Ozunu Group, an archive that recorded a number of information about this mysterious group since its establishment until now. The tape recorder also showed the scene of the ninja attacking the house, recorded by the surveillance camera in which a man in black was fighting these ninjas. The man in black was none other than Raiju. It turned out that he and this employee had had a negotiation, but unfortunately, Raiju could not protect this employee. When the investigation went deeper on each level, the investigation for Mika also suddenly became a target. Raiju was first a staff member of the Ministry of Internal Affairs, then a special agent of the National Security Agency. Later, he was repeatedly targeted by CIA staff and even the military. None of them was an outsider. Obviously, the Ozunu Group had infiltrated the political level. The sudden actions of these departments were certainly not accidental, but there must have been a government behind the support. Mika had listened to the warning of the Ministry of Internal Affairs on the decision to come home, to pick up her stuff to escape. However, when she returned home, she found a large area surrounded by power outages. The whole street was in the dark. Although there was a little hesitation, she was still lucky enough to enter the house. Under the dim light of the flashlight, she began to pick up her luggage. As soon as she thought everything was fine, only in the blink of an eye did she discover in the luggage that she had just revealed a bit of the truth that had killed her. The other party even sent 2 first-rate ninjas to assassinate her in a split second. Raiju appeared in time and easily destroyed every ninja of the first round without spending a bit of energy. However, Raiju understood that the danger was still there. The second enemy round could come at any time. He led Mika to a horrible hotel and entered Raiju's room to check the surroundings. After confirming her safety, Raiju gave her a bath. After taking a bath, Raiju took a pill and left it all over Mika's body in order to get rid of the smell of her body.